Yes, good morning. My name is Bradbury Brown. I'm from the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute. CARDI is a regional institution that specializes in agricultural research, agricultural development. This morning we're out here in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture Extension Division to conduct a training on how to set up a simple irrigation system using water tanks and a gravity feed system. So basically, like Onisi had said, the tank needs to be on an elevation. It doesn't necessarily have to be on a platform, but for example, if you have a slope and you put it on the slope and then attach the pipes and you do gravity feeding. One of the things I try to encourage people to do is put the tank on a firm structure. Concrete is the best because what's going to happen over time with the wood, especially out in the weather, rainfall, termites, whatever, it's going to rotten over a period of time. So for example, there's this system that you could use. They have the cast iron pipes that you can get from APA when they dig up the road. The pipes are there. Then if you could use the cast iron pipe to replace the uprights and then just cast the concrete, that will last for like a longer period of time than the wood because the wood going to rotten over time no matter what type of wood you use. So the first thing we're going to do is to take off the pipe off of the tank. And you see you got this stuff. So one of the things you need to take into consideration is what you want to do with the tank. For example, it can be multi-purpose, like you can have the tank with the water. You have a top that you can use to attach a hose, whatever, so that you can get water. And then you need the connections from this. And you have Teflon tape. So if you're not setting it up yourself, you probably need to have somebody that do plumbing or an experienced person that know how to do plumbing. So the first thing you have to do is get an adapter. You find out what size it's coming out of the tank. Sometimes it's depending on the size of the tank. It's ½ inch, 3/4 inch and 1/4. Probably just need to know exactly the size and get the first thing is an adapter. And most importantly, have the right tools to do what you need. You need it done.
Need an assistant?
It would be useful
Okay,
because when I training people, the best way to do it is for them to do it themselves. That's how you learn.
Yep.
Okay?
When I say assistant, I mean to help you.
Same thing.
All right then.
who don't have that fancy tool, they use a hacksaw, correct?
Yeah, but this gives you a cleaner and better cut.
Yeah, I realize that.
So plus it's less cumbersome. Huh?
How much is something like that cost for?
It depends on the size.
Or what is it for?
A pipe cutter.
That's okay.
So Brad, you didn't need these? You didn't need these?
Not really. But what I gonna make a pipe
Oh,
so that
okay.
she gonna have the pipe with the irrigation system, so just in case you need
You
water
get a
out the
shut
tank,
off.
yeah, you get a shot right.
So you have a shut off.
Come and buy everything you tell me.
Interesting.
So one of the first things you also need to have is a valve right after
The tank.
the tank. So this controls the water going forward.
Do you have to use PVC cement?
Huh?
Do you have to use PVC
Yes.
cement in the coupling?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Can I get a chance to cut it?
Sure.
Here's your assistant.
So I just squeeze.
And let go, squeeze and let go. Right. Right.
Alright.
Um, So most times, depending on how you have the tank, you're gonna need some elbows. So one elbow, two elbows.
Is this going into that?
Yeah. So where the submain going on this here? From here to
Oh, Terrence. Right here. Oh, yeah, where is it? The the main is going across here.
yeah,
The
this
drip
the
lines going
Go down.
down
yeah.
here. Yeah, so the main is this is only going here. The sub main is only going here, and then the drip lines go down here. That's the part I want to see, because that's the part I don't understand.
What?
How you hook up that to...
Jesus.
Okay, all right. So that's what I'm here to learn.
So you put the PVC in that first.
Okay, I'm not that short after all.
Okay, teacher. Then you put it on the first end
Is it the first I just over here?
Outside.
outside.
Oh, okay. Hold it in.
Okay.
Then you put it in and hold it for a little bit.
Inside?
Yeah, inside. You're free to put on a lot. And then on the outside.
So the Teflon was just only for the initial start stage.
Yeah, you use the Teflon to apply on threaded areas,
Okay.
so that you won't have no leaks and stuff like that.
Gotcha. The outside?
Yeah, and then on the inside.
The boys don't have to come south to do this again. Boys don't have to come south to do this again. See it. I'm more time to do this. High up. So we can do it. That's why we did the demonstration because she already has time.
On the outside. And then when you're putting in elbows and tees, and so you have to ensure that they 180 degrees are straight.
You had that underneath there already?
Now that's draining out from up top.
What? Inside, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Otherwise, no rain come when you wait until the day come. Right.
That is good. Oh, but she does so good for us, you know.
Then put on this, and you go stick that one yourself.
This way?
Yeah. So you put on the inside.
Come back in if you come closer. So if anything, you are
Twist it
our,
back to me a little bit.
you are our technician
Okay.
for south. Yes. Audrey.
Then you stick this into that.
So which one is the male and which one is the female?
Really? Anything?
Seriously, I asked a question. Which one is the female and which one is the male? I don't think I asked a wrong
No. I'm only joking. The males are the ones that have the protruding end.
Tell me which one going, which one of them, which one are going and which one are come out.
The male's queen and the female,
So much.
right?
Thank you very, very much, sir.
Just push it in, don't twist it.
I don't know her.
Right.
Nobody here know her. I don't know her.
You have to give me one long scientific answer. Give me the straight answer and tell me what it is.
How far from here to the main? Because we're gonna need PVC pipe to go to where the main's supposed to be.
The main? Wait a
The
minute.
sub
This
main, that, yeah.
that?
Yeah.
It can't go from here? Or you want it to go?
Not really, no, because if
What are we running into that?
the drip line,
The drip line?
yeah.
This is the drip line going to this.
Okay.
But then he's saying how far down you want the main. So I said the main couldn't.
So like for example, you need to tell me where you want to irrigate and what you want to irrigate first. So for example,
We're irrigating the coconut tree.
right,
Right here, the first one right here.
from the coconut tree.
Yeah, irrigating the coconut
So-
trees. So the main can come here.
No. If it's just for the coconut trees, it's a totally different system you have to use, eh? So for example, No, no, no. These are the lines you want to use and irrigate the coconut tree, right?
No,
The drip line.
yeah. But we can use maybe for convenience. I don't know.
So what normally happen is if you use the sub main,
Mm-hmm.
normally, okay, like for example, let's say you was going to do the banks.
You can use
You run the sub main,
Up the down,
right,
and then come off
and
this
then
end.
come
But
off
then
this
because
end.
she's going down that
Now
side,
because
she's
you're
running the
using,
sub-main that
right,
way.
because
No, over there, is it?
so basically because you want to irrigate fruit trees,
Mm-hmm.
it's a different system you have to use. So for example, you would use the PVC come all the way down, probably to the beginning of the bank,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's another connector that you can use to plug in this line, and it goes by itself.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have a system where in this hard line,
Mm-hmm.
you just punch a hole and put in an emitter.
All right.
And that emitter serves the coconut tree. So for example, like when I'm doing fruit trees, I would have the line and I put in 4 different emitters at different times.
Mm-hmm.
Because, okay, for example, like the tree is this young,
Mm-hmm.
it only needs the water like on the outside of the leaves.
Right.
Because there's where the small roots be to take up the mud. As the tree get bigger, you now need to expand the irrigation
Okay.
zone,
Right.
right?
Based on the circumference of the.
The canopy of the leaves.
Okay.
'Cause you just walk on the tree,
Mm-hmm.
and where the leaves end, there where the roots be that feed
Right.
for moisture and
Right.
nutrients and so.
Mm-hmm.
The main root that go right down, that is just the top root to make the tree strong and rigid. That no take up no water.
Right.
Let me see if I have any in the car that I can use.
Right, so repeat that for those who want to do
Fruit trees. These are this line is the best line to utilize because you can create your own irrigation system. For example, if you're using the drip line that have emitters every 6 inches, 8 inches, and your fruit trees are 10, 15 feet apart, what you find going to happen, the space between the trees are going to have the water, and the water is going to be wasted.
Oh.
So not unless you plan to do like intercropping, so that you can plant row crops between the trees, I would recommend you use the T-tape, male adapter,
Yes.
a 2-inch hose clamp. Then you would put some PVC tape on this and on this, put it in this, and then put the hose clamp would be already on it, and then you tighten it.
Right.
Then from the 2-inch, you get a reducer
Reducer.
from 2 inch to 3/4, 2 inch to 1/2 inch, depends on what your pipe is. And then this pipe would run to your tank. Then, for those who have tanks that have government water, we have a system where we put a float up on the tank and attach it. So when the tank full, it shut off by itself because everybody know how the government water is. It's not every day you get water. So on the days that you get water, you just leave the pipe open, the main pipe. When the tank full, it lock up by itself, and just like a septic, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So what we're going to do now, we're going to
Yeah.
roll out that and show us how to put in the
Now I can cut off a piece of this and show you all how
to
to
put
do
in
it.
the, okay, all right, okay. Closer to the tank.
Yeah. And once you put in fertilizer injector in it, you have a check valve on the line so that there's no backflush,
Right.
so that the fertilizer don't run back in the tank. Or if you're using the government pipe, the fertilizer can run back in the government system.
Well, you have to test like the pH, just like when you're doing hydroponics? Or it's not
Yes, you
mandatory?
can.
It's not
because it's not necessary. Because when you mix in the fertilizer, you can use water-soluble fertilizers like nitrogen, potassium, whatever. I don't use formulations anymore. You waste your money and you waste your time. Because, for example, when you buy 12, 12, 12, and they tell you you have to put down 300 pounds of fertilizer per acre. You know how much pound of fertilizer you have to buy to just
Joel
get
was
that,
explaining that in a workshop, right?
right? Sometimes
It's
it's
a lot.
500, 600
Yeah. Wow.
bag of fertilizer you have to have to get just the small amount that you need. Then you're applying fertilizers that you don't need at the time. So you're wasting it. And you're not going to stay in the soil forever.
It's true.
So now, for the fruit trees,
1 minute. What term did you just use? Fertilizer injector?
yeah, fertilizer injector. So for the fruit trees now, and you're using the hard line, the blank line, it don't come with emitters. So you have to install the emitters yourself. And I think these give out 8 liters of water an hour. So each emitter give out the same amount of water.
Let me see that.
So question, once you put in the emitter, you can close it off. So for example, if you have 6 emitters between you, as you were explaining before, and there are no trees, the water is just going to waste.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why I prefer, when you're using fruit trees, you use this system. So like, for example, 15 to 20 feet between each tree right now.
25.
Okay.
Just use the reference. Go ahead. Use the reference.
All right? And then for those who planting coconut trees now, the dwarf is 15 feet apart, and the Atlantic tall and them are 20 feet apart. Everything change up now. You know, before time people stay 25, 30 feet, and go so now. Now,
That's what they told us it was 25.
for the Atlantic,
Okay, so
for the tall ones, and if you're looking by Ricky,
Thank you
you
so
see
very
how
much
close
for that.
Ricky plant his trees.
Thank you so very much.
Right?
For that.
What, every 12 or 10?
15 for the dwarf, and 20 for the tall ones.
But let me ask you a question. The emitters, if they were to get blocked, possibly, I'm not sure if they will, but how would you clean that? You take it out? What?
No, I guess there's technique for everything.
Okay, that's fine.
So you have to have the right tools. Say, just hold a pipe like this, punch the hole. There's a small hole. The emitter fits in this.
So that tool comes with, when you buy the emitters, that tool comes
Now you have to purchase this by yourself. It's separate.
Separately.
And then this one,
This line is just blank.
this one is the one to punch the hole in the sub main to put in the other drip line.
And those go for like how much?
10 US on Amazon.
So collectively, as
where's
an
the name of that
organization, to
bit?
bring them in.
This is a head punch,
Head punch.
and this is an emitter punch.
Write down some of them. Head punch and emitter punch.
So like I was telling Therese, for now that the trees are so small, you don't need to put in a bunch.
This is not
What's the rationale of you putting it at
No.
this end and not closer to,
I have it.
like here?
Okay. Every day you learn something. You see where the tip of the leaves are? There is where the roots are that pick up the moisture and the nutrients.
So that's
As the
the
tree get bigger, the root expand out, and those are what we call the feeder roots, the small fine roots that pick up the moisture and everything. For the coconut tree, it does have a tap root that goes straight down. All that does is to make the tree rigid, strong. It don't collect no moisture or nothing.
So you actually put it into where the water, the dew,
Yeah.
absorbing the water and the nutrients.
And then if you notice, the first one I put in is on the slope side, so that the water drain down.
I'll put it where to feel.
So when the water comes out, it's not gushing up.
No, it's drip, 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 drip.
So what distance would you put the other for that tree, Brad?
It depends on the size of the tree.
Now for this one.
So this one, I put the next one here,
Okay.
on this side. And that would,
Because there's where you mostly find the root. There's
right.
a canopy on the tree.
Then as the tree get bigger, she now need to expand out depending on how.
Wide, yeah.
Like if you look on wiki trees, you see the kind of, okay, look, she have a big tree right there. You see where the branches are
Shape on the outskirts.
on the outside, there is where you put down your fertilizer, and there is where the moisture come from.
So question, if as a tree grows, you need to adjust the space for the emitter, what happens to this one?
They can still drip now.
They're going to leave it there and then
But
open it out.
the point is, if you know how gravity works, when it drips, the water moves within the soil. So you're not really wasting the water.
And at that time, coconut would need more water because they will be going into the bearing.
Right, especially when they have the nuts on them and stuff like that.
More water that time.
Then, why I always advise people, when you're irrigating, you need to know the water requirements for your crop as you go waste water. For example, when you're planting vegetables and you just transplant, it only need about, if you're using the drip system, 5-10 minutes the most every other day for seedlings. That's it.
On the small ones, of them, is it? When they just plant.
Yeah, when you just transplant, or if you just sow seeds. If you sow seeds, you put on the irrigation and leave it for 2-3 days before you put on more water.
Okay.
If you're transplanting, you make sure that the soil is, you turn on the system for about 5-10 minutes before you transplant, and then probably 5 minutes after, that's it.
Okay.
Then depends on the weather, how dry it is, how hot it is. You might need to just irrigate 5 minutes every day. But the time of irrigation is the most important. And the best time to irrigate is either early in the morning or late in the evening. Alright, if you irrigate in the middle of the day like now, you're basically
You not help the plant. You not help the plant.
you're wasting the water
You not helping the plant.
and you not really help the plant because plants start to transpire as soon as the sun come up. So you need to have the moisture in the soil just as when the sun come up and the plants start to transpire. Most plants don't transpire in the night. So wherever moisture you put down in the evening, you stay there until sun come up.
Yeah. When it start to plant.
Then transpiration start to take place like maybe 10 o'clock, between 8 and 10 o'clock when the sun start to get hot.
So in terms of the coconut trees and them now, what how is what is the recommendation for the watering system for that?
Water requirement.
The water requirement.
Like now,
Depends to the trees and different
Yes.
water
like now, what I would recommend is you do a basic field test. Like you just come where the root is. See this? This have moisture, so you need to put on no water.
Okay.
Alright? Once you can do the soil like this and it clump up.
But generally,
Right.
it depends on the time of the year and so on. They will need it. That Garofan thing is how much? The Garofan bottle, them blue Garofan bottle, how much water they hold? A gallon?
5, the big ones,
Yeah.
5 gallon.
So one of those a day?
No.
Half.
Okay,
If it's dry.
for example, like
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I could put down 2 emitters and they give 8 liters of water an hour. That's plenty water. So you almost see 5-10 minutes good. Alright? Then it depends on the time of the year and the weather determines how much water
Because when they
you
started
apply.
planting first, it was in the dry season, and so we are recommending at least one of the bucket of water.
Too much water. Right? Because there's something that near overwatering and underwatering. So what you try to do, overwatering create a lot of issues for you.
Yeah.
Fungal disease,
Right.
whole ton of things. So it's adequate amounts of water at the right time. And then since we have scarce water resources, overwatering like to me, on sin.
It's true.
So you can
So-
practice mulching.
Yeah, but then I realized that some of the farmers, I have some farmers like Bernadine, and she gives her plants water. And when I compare her own to some of her others who at the same time he did less, her trees and them are just look so nice, big. I guess maybe the area is
It has a lot to do with
Salt type. Yeah, the salt type.
yeah, it I could have a tree there and a tree here,
it's true.
and the
Some part more fertile.
environmental conditions in terms of the soil different,
Just nice.
right?
That close.
So yeah. And you find it all the time. Like for example, you would plant a row of, let's say, peppers, and then you in the same row,
It's true. Some of the plants
some
are
yellow
bigger than
and some bigger.
Yeah.
It all depends, because the pH can be different there, and the pH neutral here, the pH high over there,
10 to 9.
and wherever else. So
Generally bad. I'm hearing you, but generally don't. Coconut plants need. Well, you use adequate, but plenty.
I wouldn't say plenty, because for number one, coconut tend to be drought tolerant.
Yeah, very resilient. Very
Right?
resilient. Planting.
What you need to concentrate on is when the inflorescence is pushing out new young fruits to when they mature, then when they need the water. Because you don't want to get premature, you don't want to have abortion.
You don't drop off and yeah.
Right.
That's what it is.
So
Using the words in Finale.
when you see the flowering start to take place, then when you concentrate on putting down water.
And you can give them fertilizer at
And the
that time.
potassium.
No, what you want to do is give it the fertilizer before.
Before it starts to flower.
Because once it starts to flower, and you need no more potassium. Whatever potassium you're putting down, will go waste. Because
How early you put the potassium?
what we normally does recommend, like the coconut trees and them produce in nodes, right? So for example, you get a first flush. When you see that start to mature and you look up and you see the young ones start, you put down fertilizer again. So it's a continuous process. Oh, you have a fertilizer injector.
Interesting. You created that yourself?
No.
She bought that from Farm and Garden.
Just so that y'all can see those work there.
He's frequent there, so you know what I'm saying.
How you know?
Now that inject any type of fertilizer. So if you use tea, you make your own fertilizer, you utilize this.
How would you operate? How do you use it?
Okay, so basically, this would go on the main line.
That's for you to put in the fertilizer in your tank.
Yeah.
So you would have a drum, a tank, a bucket, whatever. This would be closest to the main line. This is the check valve, so that the water only runs one way, this way alone. If you push your finger in here, you see it have a thing that release. The water can pass back and go so. Then when you're going to fertilize, you turn off this, because the water is coming straight through. You turn off this, and it changes the direction where the water is going, and create a suction with this injector, and it starts to suck from the drum, and then it comes back down and go through on this, go in the main line, and your plants get whatever fertilizer you're putting down. Then, when you're using this system, this is what you now need to do, is apply small amounts of fertilizer every week. So they will tell you, let's say you're planting fruit trees on the tail, you put down 200 pounds of nitrogen every 3 months. That's like I telling you you're hungry today, I'm going to give you a whole cackle.
And tomorrow you're hungry again.
Exactly. So you put down small amounts every week. So for example, you put down 10 pounds of fertilizer in a bucket every week. When I say 10 pounds, I'm talking 10 pounds of nitrogen, which is depending on your location and your fertilizer. Let's say, for example, if it's sulfate of ammonia and I tell you put down a pound of nitrogen, you technically have to put down 5 pounds of sulfate ammonia. Because 20 pounds of nitrogen per 100 pounds. If you're using urea, it's probably just 2 pounds. But it depends also on your location. For example, if you're up east, I don't recommend you use urea up east, where the soil is basically limestone and the pH high.
Yes, more essay.
Right.
Use urea down more
So, on your side where the soil is acidic, you use alkaline fertilizer.
My area in Betty's Hope.
So you up in Betty's Hope, you use acidic fertilizer and they use alkaline fertilizer. Because you want to lower your pH and they want to bring up their pH.
So we on the south side use what?
Urea.
urea.
Yeah.
Just
So what would you recommend?
No, if you're using nitrogen,
Which one of them would you recommend?
for where?
Up in my area, Betty's
Sulfate of ammonia. And also, even though it's not really a fertilizer, Epsom salts, which is magnesium sulfate. So the easiest way to lower pH is use sulfur. But we ain't got sulfur in the quantities to lower it as fast.
Okay.
But what does the sulfur in the magnesium do? And the sulfate of ammonia, it allows the pH to be lowered, and it also allows the roots to absorb whatever fertilizer you put down.
So,
Therese, hold this.
Bob,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
cut off the piece of thing over there and show them how to join the
Can cut off your finger too.
Oh gosh.
Oh, basically, this is a pipe cutter that you use to cut the PVC, the polyethylene pipe, the T-tape, the tubes. Underneath here, you have a head connect. So this is the sub-main that would be connected to your tank, your government pipe, whatever. The blue line is here for a purpose.
Purpose?
Yeah.
The purpose.
So you punch the hole in the blue line, right? Then this is the head connector that fits in the sub-main. Yeah, you have the head snap, and then you tighten it at the back to prevent and avoid leaks. So you tighten this till it is tight. Then the T-tape, you're going to get a piece, you just fit it onto this and tighten it back. Then the T-tape has a line, a green line, a blue line, whatever. That's where the emitters are, that usually be on the top. Most people tend to turn them down, but when you turn them down, when it drip, they tend to get clogged with soil particles and stuff like that. Then if you're using the fertilizer injector, over time, especially when you're using chlorine water and the fertilizer, it tends to clog up the emitters. So what I usually recommend to people, you turn on the system like 5 minutes before you're going to put on the injector. When the water finishes, you have another 5 minutes so that all the soluble, the fertilizer, everything run out. But periodically, you can actually clean the system by using sulfuric acid. You're not going to do nothing to the plants.
Am I actually recorded that?
Let me take it off and put it back on.
So this is the T-tape, what we call the T-tape, which is the drip tape. You push it on and then you tighten it back. Pull it. Sometimes it kind of, see to the side, so you have to
Make sure it's straight.
make sure it's straight and it's on the top. Alright?
Nobody pull it down now.
Then,
Me not understand.
hold this. There's an emitter here. There's one here. There's one there.
Okay, so the hose is already prepared
Right.
for
So the hole's already there. So what you want to do, it depends on the crop you're planting. Let's say, for example, you're planting, these look like every 8 inches. So if you're planting pepper and you're planting them 2 feet, you just measure, so you get the 2 feet. Sometimes it might not be exactly 2 feet, it might be 6 inches off, but you want to plant it like an inch or so from the emitter. Okay, you don't want to plant it directly on the emitter. So you plant it like 2-3 inches away from the emitter. So this is the first one. So if you was going to plant a plant, this is the first one, you'd probably plant it here. When it drips, it drip, and the water just expand
Brad, let me
and forms a
ask you
circle.
a question. I've never used drip lines. So the emitters, do you call the holes
Yeah.
emitters, or do you have to push in the little machine?
No, these come with emitters already in them.
Oh, okay.
And like those, they each one distribute the same amount of water per minute or per hour. So it's not like one plant going to get more water than the next. But to every rule there's an exception. So for example, if you have a slope, you irrigate, you make sure that the submain is on the slope and gravity carries the water down. You don't want to have the submain at the bottom of the slope and try to push the water up to the top.
It will be too much
Because what you find has happened,
strain, yeah.
sometimes the water don't reach at the top and you don't get nothing irrigated up there. Another thing to consider is if you have neem trees close to your plot, you need to remove them.
Neem?
Yes.
They absorb all the water.
Not only that they absorb water, there's a chemical composition in the root as a directant. It kills everything.
That's
I didn't name.
You ever see insect on the neem tree?
it's
No,
true.
because I use it as an insecticide.
Right.
Exactly.
It's true, 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 true.
So the
Use it
roots,
as an insecticide.
if you notice, if you plant crops close to a neem tree, the first 15 feet are always dwarf and small and everything.
I noticed that down there by the man farm out Kentish, McKenna's.
McKenna's, by
yes,
Neil.
by
Exactly.
Because I have some
yes,
peppers
by
planted
there,
on
yes.
the neem tree, thought it was a good idea for shade.
No.
Everything else bare, and I started.
No, they can struggle. So if you have the neem tree and don't want to remove it, you have to consider planting 20 feet from the canopy. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Brown, how do we now go from that to this? How do we get that
Where's
white
the-
pipe
Okay,
to this? To give us
just
more
like I was
water?
telling you, you get the 2-inch
Yes,
male
the
adapter.
Male adapter.
It's on the floor.
And a clamp. It's
Right.
Oh,
Right.
oh.
You would get a 2-inch male
Exactly the
adapter,
same thing, yes, okay.
put it in
Put it
this,
there.
The clamp is on
the
there.
clamp
the
on this,
reducer.
then you get the
A
reducer from
reducer.
2-inch to 3/4, and then this fit in
Put
the
it there, And
reducer.
you tie off that end with a clamp or something, if anything.
Yes.
Yes, okay, yeah, I got it.
Right?
So along with the clamp, do you need a PVC cement to...
Yeah, because this, if you get the 2-inch, the 2-inch fit in
Fit
this,
right
it
in
fit
there.
tight. So you get the PVC, stick it on, but because this have grooves, it,
Teflon.
right. So you get the hose clamp,
The clamp.
screw it on tight, get the reducer from if it's 2 inch, from 2 inch to half, 3/4, put it in, and then this pipe fits in this.
So you can't get one without the female.
Okay, there's several ways you can do it. For example, I think this is a 2 inch. It's too big to fit in here.
Yeah.
But this is the
The reducer.
with the pipe.
Look at the pipe. You know, don't explain. You know, show yet.
So all you have to get now is I think 1.5 inch one to fit in here, because the 2 inch gonna be too big to fit in that. So you get 1.5 inch one with the reducer. This is 1 inch, but you would get a 3/4 inch, and it will just fit in here. You just stick it in with the PVC, everything, and then this would be your main pipe where the water comes from. Now, there is another pipe that I use, which is a 32mm pipe that uses the same hard line. You can even use the T-tape with it. You push the pipe in here with this and tighten it, and it's good, and then you screw this into a 1 inch. And this would be a submate.
That seems so much easier.
Huh?
Here with you.
No, but they've sell the hard pipe, the 32mm,
Okay. Yes.
up by pairs. Dave Welch. But once you're using this soft one, you get the 1.5 inch male adapter
That's what they have. So
and stick it in, and everything should be fine after that.
So I said the 32-inch pipe will use the
This blue one.
yeah, and you'll use the, what you call it, the thing that thing I pulled there.
Yeah, the tape. You can use the tape. It can fit in this. Only thing, you need a punch to punch it,
Punch.
because it's harder.